You ever get kicked off your own land? Yeah, that happened to me. Midnight. Cops roll in like I'm a trespasser, on the same patch of dirt I've called home for 10 years. And leading the charge? Patricia Ellison, HOA president and self-appointed queen of suburbia. But here's the kicker. While she was trying to run me off, she'd been sneaking onto my lake in the dead of night like it was her personal retreat. I'm telling you, what I found out about her might just flip your stomach. It all started like every other quiet Friday night. Just me, a folding chair, six-pack, and a fire crackling by the lake. That lake, it's where Emily and I spent the best years of our lives, dreaming about building a dock, throwing barbecue parties, raising kids by the water. She's been gone 5 years now, but being there, it still brings her close. I swear, sometimes I hear her laugh in the wind. Then came the sirens, red and blue lights bouncing across the water like some twisted 4th of July. 2 squad cars, dust rising. And there was Brian Walsh, my old high school buddy turned deputy. He stepped out looking sheepish. Right behind him, Patricia Ellison, high heels stabbing my dirt like she was stomping out vermin. That's him, officer, she snapped, pointing like I was a criminal. He's trespassing, disturbing the peace. Brian looked torn, scratching his head the way he always did when he knew something smelled wrong, but couldn't say it out loud. Dan, look, I gotta ask you to pack it up tonight. Just for now. We'll sort this. Sort this? I pulled out the land deed I always keep in my jacket. 10 years old, signed, sealed mine. Every inch, including that lake. You know me, Brian. This land's been mine since Emily and I scraped together every last dime to buy it. Patty grabbed the papers before Brian could even look. These could be fake, she scoffed. Everyone knows the lake's part of Crestview Heights. That night, I left. I shouldn't have, but something told me this wasn't over. And I was right at a text came through as I drove off. Leave the lake, or you'll lose more than land. That's when I knew I wasn't just dealing with a neighbor dispute. This was a full-on ambush that I spent the next day digging. Deeds, tax records, old maps. That's when I saw it. On a town map from years back, someone had scribbled shared across my lake. Ink faded, but enough to make me sweat that I called Evelyn Harper, the local historian and one-woman encyclopedia of our county. She laughed when I told her, "Honey, Patty's not the first HOA queen to try and annex someone else's land. Come by tomorrow. Bring your papers. There's history you need to see." But before I could even leave the house, Patty struck again. An email full of legalese, photos of me by the lake. Every angle, every visit, time-stamped like I was being stalked. And then came the knock. Todd Brennan, HOA board member and used car salesman with a smile too wide for his own face. "Generous offer," he said. "Sign over lake rights, and this all goes away." I laughed. "Todd, my papers don't just talk, they win." He backed off. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I needed more than proof. I needed a witness. Evelyn didn't disappoint. She handed me documents tracing Patty's past. Turns out she'd pulled this act before in Nevada. Land fraud, intimidation, fake documents, a lawsuit that tanked her career. Her husband, a lawyer, nearly disbarred. "This isn't just petty power," Evelyn said. "It's revenge." That's when I started watching, really watching. I installed hidden cameras all over my land, real ones this time, disguised in birdhouses and fence posts. And just like that, around midnight, I caught them. Patty, Todd, a couple of goons in HOA jackets, pouring thick black sludge into my lake from unmarked barrels. My stomach turned. I saved the footage to 5 drives and took it straight to Brian. He watched it in silence. Then whispered, "She played me. I thought I'd make sheriff." She promised. But guilt makes men do brave things. "I'll open an investigation," he said. Still, I knew it wouldn't be enough that SOI baited her. Wrote a fake surrender letter. Told her she'd won. Evelyn delivered it herself. Patty fell for it like a child grabbing candy. Held a victory party. Photos, social media posts, champagne. She was drunk on power. Then came the drop. I uploaded the video. HOA president caught poisoning lake. Within hours, it went viral. Thousands of comments. People sharing their own HOA horror stories. Patty's perfect empire crumbled faster than drywall in a flood. Evelyn brought more witnesses. Maria Gonzalez, the woman whose garden was torn up by Patty's orders. Those roses were from Mexico, she said, holding back tears. Carried across the border by my abuela. Irreplaceable. The case built itself. Photos, testimony, video. A pattern too damning to ignore. Court day came. Patty arrived with her high-powered lawyer. Still smiling. Still confident. She stopped smiling when I dropped the final footage. Masked men, baseball bats, graffiti, even a thug in an HOA security jacket, all caught on my night vision cameras, trashing my dock and dumping debris into the lake. Patty's voice on tape. I want that lake destroyed. I don't care what it takes. Silence. Then the gavel fell. $100,000 fine. Patricia Ellison removed from her position. Banned from HOA leadership statewide. Her scream echoed through the courtroom. But I wasn't done. As the dust settled, I stepped forward. One more thing. I held up a deed. Last month, I purchased 40 acres, including your clubhouse, golf course, and community center. Gasps. According to HOA bylaws, I'm now majority landholder. Effective today, I'm dissolving this board and calling new elections. Patty actually stumbled. How could you afford? I just smiled. Emily made sure we saved for something important. Now that was for her. The lake's clean now. Wildlife's returning. Kids swim in it again. And we threw a party by the water, the whole town there. Someone brought a cake shaped like Patty falling off her throne. Evelyn stole the show with her impersonation. As the sun set, I stood by the lake and whispered, "We kept our promise, Emily. This lake's still our home." And just when I thought it was over, a woman approached me, folder in hand, eyes full of quiet desperation. "Our HOA, it's worse. 3 homes seized. Sheriffs in their pocket. Will you help us?" I looked down at the folder, then out at the lake, and nodded, because once you've faced down a queen and taken back your land, there's no going back. The fight's not just mine anymore. And maybe, just maybe, it never was. Backhand index pointing right. What would you have done in Dan's shoes? Should HOAs have this much power? Drop your thoughts below, and if your community's been through something similar, it's time the world heard your story. You'd think after everything, after courtrooms, poison lakes, and watching Patty get dragged out in cuffs, I'd get some peace. But nah, that folder the woman gave me at the party, it kept me up for 3 nights straight. Every page was another scar. Families evicted, elderly couples blindsided by forged easements, kids crying as bulldozers tore through their yards. And the kicker? Riverside Township's HOA wasn't just corrupt, it was organized, like mob-level intimidation, but in polo shirts and khakis. Her name was Laura. 34, single mom of 2, used to run a local diner before the HOA tripled her community fees and slapped a lien on her house for a mailbox violation. I'm not kidding, a mailbox. She lost the diner trying to pay the fines, then nearly lost her home when they accidentally misfiled her payment records. "You were the only one who stood up," she told me. "If anyone can stop them, it's you." I wanted to say no. I really did. But Emily would not have let me. She'd always believed land meant freedom, that owning a patch of earth gave you a place in the world. And seeing that freedom stripped away? Yeah, I couldn't stay quiet. I drove down to Riverside. Pretended to be looking at property. Just a quiet guy with a notebook. What I found was worse than anything Patty ever pulled. The HOA president there, a man named Gerald Knox, was ex-military turned real estate tycoon. Slick haircut, mirrored sunglasses, and a voice like he rehearsed his lies in front of the mirror. I walked their neighborhood at dusk, talked to folks who looked over their shoulders before whispering. "They towed my car for being 6 inches over the line," one woman said. "Charged me $1,200 to get it back." Another man showed me letters filled with legal threats. Boilerplate fear-mongering with just enough truth to scare you into silence. And then I saw the edge of the subdivision, tucked behind a line of trees, was a fenced-off patch of dirt. Used to be a community garden until Gerald bulldozed it to make room for development. Except nothing had been built. Just tire tracks, a padlocked gate, and a security sign from the same contractor Patty once used. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just a rogue HOA. It was a network. A playbook that I went home and dusted off the old evidence board. Emily used to joke it made me look like I was auditioning for CSI. But every pin, every string started connecting. Same contractors, same fake surveyors, same law firm Patty used in Nevada. Turns out her old husband Richard had quietly partnered with Knox after his license got suspended. And now he was pulling strings in Riverside from behind the scenes to SOI called in the troops. Evelyn, of course, showed up first, carrying a cooler of lemonade and a folder thick as a Bible. Laura brought 3 more neighbors, each with their own story. And then, surprisingly, Todd Brennan. Yeah, that Todd. He'd started doing community outreach since Patty's fall, trying to earn some kind of redemption. "I owe you," he said. "I's not quite meeting mine. Let me help." We spent weeks documenting, gathering, building a case so airtight it could hold water through a hurricane. I taught Laura how to organize statements, how to catalog timestamps. Todd tracked the HOA's financial trail. Turned out, their books were a mess of maintenance fees funneled into private construction projects. The hardest part was getting media attention. Crestview Heights had been a sensation, but Riverside? Smaller town, fewer cameras. So I made my own noise that I leaked footage, doorbell cams of HOA board members planting trash in front yards just to issue citations. Hidden recordings of Knox laughing about people too broke to sue. It started small, but then a podcast picked it up, then a Reddit thread. Then boom, Riverside was trending. That's when Knox struck back. Middle of the night, I got a call from Laura, sobbing. Her car had been set on fire in her driveway. Police called it an accident, but I'd seen enough accidents to know when something stinks. I checked my cameras, just in case, and there it was. 2 men in masks, same build, same movements I'd seen before at my lake. This time tossing something into her back seat before it lit up like a bonfire that I released the footage before sunrise up EY noon. Knox was on TV, denying everything with that greasy grin. "This is political," he said. "People like Mr. Carver want to dismantle the community fabric." But people weren't buying it anymore. Brian, now promoted and running internal affairs for the county, called me. "We've got enough for a multi-agency task force. Environmental crimes, racketeering, mail fraud, you name it. But we need a public statement to push it over the top." I knew what I had to do. I stood in front of the old garden that Knox had leveled, camera rolling, and told the truth. About Emily, about the lake, about how people like Patty and Knox use fear and paperwork to crush the little guy. "But here's the thing," I said, voice steady. "We're not little. Not when we stand together." The video exploded. Again, the next hearing was even bigger than the last. Laura testified first, then Todd, then Evelyn, who brought out a decades-old photo of that very garden being planted by the original homeowners. "This land was a gift," she said, "and it was stolen." The judge didn't even blink. Effective immediately, the Riverside HOA is dissolved. Mr. Knox is ordered to pay restitution, and a federal investigation into his financial dealings is hereby launched. The room erupted. Knox tried to slip out the side door, but the cameras were already there. His face, red with rage, went viral. Again, that evening, Laura stood by her rebuilt garden, neighbors planting fresh vegetables as the sun set. She handed me a basket of tomatoes and said, "This is what justice tastes like." I smiled, but something in my gut twisted, because just like last time, a note was waiting on my windshield, same handwriting. "P told you this wasn't over." I stared at it for a long time, folded it, tucked it into my pocket, then looked up at the stars, shimmering over the community we'd just saved. "Emily once told me some battles you fight not because you want to, but because no one else will." Looks like I'm still fighting. Backhand index pointing right. So what do you think? Should HOAs be allowed to hold this much power without oversight? Ever had your own run-in with a homeowners association? Drop your story below, because maybe it's time we stop calling these abuse stories exceptions and start asking who benefits from the system staying broken.